Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the November 9th, 2024 special meeting. Please silence your cell phones, pagers, and other electronic communication devices. Agendas and speaker request forms are located at the back of the chambers. The commission utilizes speaker request forms. If you'd like to speak on any item, please complete a speaker request form located on the bookshelf at the back of the chambers and return it to Commissioner Clerk Geraldine Siskett, located at the lower left side of the dais. I'd ask Mr. Drew to do the moment of silent reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Drews. Next on our agenda is the review and approval of the agenda, and I'll just say a moment that in the past we've read through every precinct, every number, and it'd taken us hours, and it's been suggested that we go through these in the as each election and read the numbers and the totals, and I'll check them off. Correct?
Yes.
If that's okay with the board, if you approve for that. It looks like we have an agreement, so then I'd look for the approval of the agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Rosknecht, seconded by Drews. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And I will give the floor to Cindy Moeller.
Chair, Cindy Moeller, Pennington County Auditor. I did kind of type up a little summary of some of the things that I thought the board might find of interest as far as how the election went. We did have around 29,000 absentee ballots this time. There were about 600 of them that had to be recreated, so we had recreation teams working on that. So those are the ones that are the uniformed overseas citizens. They actually print their ballot on regular paper. They fold it up in an envelope with it's a special piece of paper that goes on the outside that is their envelope with their signature. And then when we get those back, of course, we have to check them off, file them. But on election day, then those have to be recreated onto an actual optical scan ballot so they can be tabulated. So we had over 600 of those to do. Took quite some time. There were about 156 or so absentee ballots that had to be rejected and could not be counted because signatures did not match or there was no signature on the back of the envelope. So that's, I always hate to see that, but if people don't follow direction, it makes it a little more difficult. Here's my, yeah. The turnout, compared to what we had for absentee and in-person voting, I expected our turnout to be a little bit better than what it actually ended up being, because we didn't even hit 70%. I thought we'd be 73 to 75%, and we didn't get there. So that's kind of disheartening after all the work that goes into it. I thought we were going to have a bigger day than that. Some of the precincts in the morning called in like around 10. They were slammed. They thought they had the most they'd ever had that early. So that was another indicator that I thought we were going to have a little bit better turnout that day, but we didn't. So one of the other things that I wanted to say is that in 2016, we can't really go back to 2020 because everybody knows that we had like 36,000 absentees due to COVID. But in 2016, we had about 21,000 absentees. So we definitely beat that one. And I was explaining earlier on the very last day before the election, we assisted over 2,000 people at our counter with absentee voting in person.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Rosknecht.
No, I've heard a lot of discussion, the pros and cons of paper ballots and why they're good and why they're not. Could you just give us a brief, in your opinion, the difference between the way we did things in Minnehaha?
Are you referring to how long it took
As
them?
far as the election process and the counting, their process that did the same thing that your office did, but it seemed like they had some major difficulty.
I think a lot of theirs were some of the same reasons that we had. They had a lot of absentees. I don't know what time she started processing those absentees. We had our teams come in at 7, get instruction, and start working on all of the absentees that day. And I don't know what time Minnehaha County Auditor had her people come in. We had a lot of jams with the machines. I'm assuming that they tri-folded theirs, but I don't know that because I didn't see that, haven't heard. And that does jam your machine. It makes things take a little longer when you're tabulating the absentees.
Well, I noticed that, I thought it was a paper jam, so when you get a paper jam, I've seen some copiers that really spit out and they jam up. And it's my understanding that once they jam, you have to redo the ballot.
That batch, when they hit that, they'll like accordion. It's like everything's clicking along really well and it just goes, and you have this accordion look in the bottom of your bin. Everything in that bin at that time has to be rescanned, but not everything. And most of the time, unless one is ripped, then you would have to have it recreated. But most of the time, you can flatten them back out and rerun them without much difficulty.
Okay.
We did have a lot of ballots that were unreadable marks. And so somebody went to fill in an oval, changed their mind, they put a mark in the oval, and then they completed the other oval. The machine kicks that out as an unreadable mark because it doesn't know what
Right.
how the voter was really looking at it. In administrative rule, it says that anything that's a mark that touches the oval is a vote. So all of those ballots that were kicked out, we had to have our resolution team recreate so we could actually scan those ballots.
Okay,
That
thank
also
you.
takes a lot of time.
Thank you.
Any further questions for Cindy? If not, we'll go on to the canvassing of the vote. Mr. Laster, you volunteered to read?
I'll read, you just tell me, are we reading here, or are we reading along the bottom on here? I just want to make sure I'm reading in the right ones,
If
right
I-
off of this.
If I may, Mr. Chair?
Sure.
If one of you would follow, LaCroix has the big canvas, so
Yep.
he has this all laid out in front of him.
Right?
That's the one that comes out of the state system for our official canvas.
Yep.
This is the one that comes out of our election night reporting software.
Right.
So it's these that you want to make sure balance to that, so I would suggest that you start with these.
So read these lines
You don't,
here.
you don't need to read, this
Nope.
is just a summary
Just here,
page,
and
just
then
with
read these lines.
each race and the results of each
Okay,
race.
that's what I want to make sure we're
Yep.
doing the right thing.
That's how I would do it.
So we're all in line together. All right, we'll see if this goes the right way. So, this is presidential electors. Democrat Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, 20,051. Chase Oliver, Mike Mott, 483. Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, 35,009. Kennedy and Shanahan, 1,037. United States Representative Cheryl Johnson, 16,727. Dusty Johnson, 38,628. We're going good space. Not too fast, not too slow.
No, you're fine.
Public Utilities Commissioner, Forrest Wilson, 15,384. Gideon Oaks, 4,324. Christy Fegan, 33,056. Senator District 27, State Senator District 27. Red Don Foster, 329. Anthony Colthell, 1,765. State Senator District 30, Brett Swanson, 1,469. Amber Hulsey, 3,942. State Senator District 32, Helene Duhamel, 5,189. Karen McNeil, 3,463. State Senator District 33, Kurt Voigt, 7,538. State,
You said 7,000 for,
Kurt Voigt,
I'm on District 35 on my sheet.
No,
Craig
you're
Black.
on 33 and 34.
33.
Did I miss a page?
Oh, it's folded over it, sorry. Yep.
Went too far, sorry.
Okay, now you're on State Senator District 33, Kirk Vogt.
Kurt Voigt, 7,538.
Yep.
State Senator, District 34, Kahala Two Bulls, 5,016. Taffy Howard, 7,586. State Senator, District 35, Greg Blanc, 9,851. State Representative, District 27, Perry Poirier, 297. Elise Meeks, 380. Liz May, 1,779. State Representative, District 30, Susan Scherbeck, 1,400. Trish Ladner, 3,188. Tim Goodwin, 3,631. State Representative, District 32, Nicole Yuri Balk, 4,133. Steve Duffy, 4,111. Brooke Kaufman, 3,548. State Representative, District 33, Kurt Massey, 6,067. Phil Jensen, 6,014. State Representative, District 34, Mike Derby, 7,108. Heather Baxter, 6,381. State Representative, District 35, Pat Cromwell, 4,004. Jason Lind, 3,772. Tina Mullally, 8,586. Tony Randolph, 8,778. Supreme Court Justice Retention, yes, 35,479. No, 10,233. Constitutional Amendment E, yes, 25,391. No, 30,434. Good?
Yep.
Constitutional Amendment F, yes, 33,445. No, 22,050. Constitutional Amendment G, yes, 26,400. No, 29,696. Constitutional Amendment H, yes, 20,484. No, 33,428. Initiated Measure 28, yes, 19,799. No, 35,335. Initiated Measure 29, yes, 27,386. No, 28,863. Referred Law 21, yes, 24,433. No, 28,535.
Thank you, Travis. Is there any questions? These matched up with the results that I have in front of me?
I don't have any questions if our summary matches the
I'd-
actual.
I'd look for a motion to approve the canvassing.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Drews.
move to approve the canvass of the 2024 general election and authorize the commissioners present to sign the official canvass certificate.
Moved by Drews,
Second.
second by Roskinek. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to item B, selection of precinct contests for post-election audit. And I do have a speaker request for that. Would you like me to do that first?
Absolutely.
Karen McNeil, you have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you, Commissioners. So I was a candidate for District 32 State Senate, and I just had a couple of comments. I would like to request that you audit Precinct 1-5 if you're going to do audits. And then I noticed on the vote count, it looks like for State Senate, there was a total of 8,592, and for the representative is 11,792, which is a difference of 3,200 votes. That's strange, I think, so I'm wondering why that would be. Is there a lot of, like, non-votes there? Why would there be a difference of 3,200?
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Cindy Moore.
we did not print a report that shows under and over as far as the votes, but yes, it could be that people did not vote that race.
Okay, that's interesting.
Sure.
And then,
Just a clarification. What race was that and what were the numbers again? I didn't quite catch it. You were going
well,
kind
when
of quick.
I wrote down the numbers as you were reading them, so it's District 32, State Senate, and also state representative.
Okay,
And if I know how to do math, on the Senate race, it looks like there was a total of 8592. And in the representative race, there was a total of 11,792. That's a difference of 3,200 votes, which seems
Mr.
strange
Chair.
to me.
If I may. On the representative races, they could vote for 2.
Oh, okay, all
So
right, maybe that's it.
there's your difference.
Okay,
I
all
didn't
right.
catch that when you first said it.
Okay, all right.
thank
And
you
then
for
the-
that.
Okay, so I had 2 more points. I noticed that the Secretary of State does like a preliminary count on October 18th and October 23rd, I think it was, and they had Duhamel at 60% and me at 40% in their little practice one that they do. And then that's exactly how that turned out in the final. And so it looked to me like each precinct had the same percentage, which is mathematically impossible. So I just want to point that out. And my last point is, when I was going door knocking, I had several people ask me about affidavits. And what I was told when I called the office is that if somebody shows up with no ID, that they can sign an affidavit. And I said, is that considered a provisional ballot? And they said, no, it counts. And it's like, so you could say, I'm Joe Blow from 123 Main Street, and misrepresent who you are and vote. And then when the real person comes, and I know people who've told me that they went to vote and they were told, sorry, you've already voted. So, and maybe that's a state thing, I don't know, but it seems like that's a little bit scary. And the person also told me in the auditor's office, it's like, I said, well, what's the consequence? Well, if we find out who they are, we can prosecute them, but like if they're using a fake name and address, how are you gonna find them? So that's a problem. So I just wanted to point those things out to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you
Mr.
have-
Chair, if I may.
Yes,
That is
Cindy.
in the statute that they have to be able to do the affidavit, and we call it a personal ID affidavit. So if someone forgets their driver's license at home, they're there to vote, they don't want to go home, come back, that's a way that they still can vote. And no, it does not require that they do a provisional ballot.
Okay. Is there any other questions from commissioners?
Mr. Chair,
Mr.
I
Russell?
had a lady from Hill City, and she said, why did I get these mail-in ballots? We didn't request it. That's the only one I really had, and Cindy went right to bat. She found this, all the documentation that this person had signed the year before, and she claimed that same thing, that you didn't need any ID. But when Cindy responded back to me and her, although not in person, she had to fill out an affidavit, if I recall, and a photocopy of her ID. Is that correct, Cindy?
She completed an absentee ballot application and checked all, and yes, did submit a photocopy of her ID with that, which is what's required.
So it's not, she just said, I can send something in without any proof at all. Well, there was some proof involved.
Yes.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Lester?
And Cindy, to follow up on the ID one, because this is something that I've been keeping close eye on. So if somebody comes in and gives that affidavit to vote, now what happens if you find out that they tried to either vote absentee earlier or some other way that it's determined that that particular individual that's doing a personal recognition, that form, what happens if it's determined that they've already voted?
They would not be allowed to vote at the polls.
Right, so, one, not only do they have to have they haven't been marked for a ballot at all, but two, whenever they fill out that document. But if they fill out that document, but they've already voted, then that triggers some other stuff, is that correct?
They just would not be able to vote that day,
They wouldn't be able to vote.
yes. And if I may, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
to Ms. McNeil's comment about somebody going to the polls and it said that they had already voted, some of those were, when they got there, it said that they had already been mailed an absentee ballot.
Yeah.
They chose not to vote that, and so then they were allowed to vote that day. We also had a situation where junior, senior voted, I can't remember which way it was, at the polls, or in person, and then the other went to the polls, but it looked like they had already voted. So we had to fix that in our records. It was actually senior that voted, not junior, or vice versa. So some of that does happen. It's a manual process that we're doing, and it's a human process.
Yes.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Drews?
So Cindy, if I recall, 4 years ago when I worked one of the polls, that when we had people come in that wanted to vote, and we had an X on it, or some kind of a mark indicating they had received an absentee ballot, that required a phone call to your office from that polling place to make sure that they hadn't voted the absentee before they were allowed to vote.
Yes, we have to print those poll books on the Friday before because the election officials pick up their supplies on Monday. And so we have to have all those registration books to go out. So it could be that by Friday, we had not received their ballot back, but on Monday, we did. And so they have to call us to verify that we've still not received that ballot.
Mr. Chair, and that's one of the points I was going to do, because not this election, but the previous one, I had done that, one, so I could get the political mailers, because sometimes some of us like to read those things because of the chase mail, but two, I did that, and of course, when I tried to vote, and the individuals knew me, they did see that I had gotten a absentee ballot mailed to me, and they called Cindy's office, and she says, just tell him, if he send it in, he's in trouble, because if we get it, then he's trying to get 2 counts on a ballot, so.
Any further discussion? Did you have anything else you wanted to update on the precinct contest for pre-election
that?
audit?
The law requires that we do a random draw for the precincts for the post-election audit, so that's what we're going to do.
Mr. Chair, just a point of clarification, how many are we drawing?
We have to draw 5% of our precincts, which is 2 point whatever, so 3 precincts we'll have to draw. And then we have to draw 1 statewide race and then 1 other race on the ballot that each one is doing. So
3 total, or 3 plus 1 and 1?
3 precincts, 2 races.
Gotcha.
So we have our discs, numbered discs that we're going to put in here to draw from. Shake them up really good. And we have all the sample ballots here with numbers on the bottom, so whatever number we draw, that's the precinct that we'll pull the sample ballot for. '24. So that is precinct 5-4. And 37. And that is precinct NU. And 33. So that is precinct JS.
JS?
Yes.
I'm sorry, 24 was which precinct?
Let's see.
5-4.
We've got
5-4.
5-4, NU, and JS. Casey's gonna pull out everything we don't need now. We decide 13.
Yeah, so do you want a number,
Oh,
or do we
yes.
need a number?
So, I had a pen here. No, I did.
So
Here
you
it
just
is.
need numbers 1 through 13 in now, right?
Yeah.
Should make them like red or something.
And of course, the one that we draw for the statewide race will be across all three. I think that's how we have that on that sheet, isn't it? Oh, no, we did draw statewide, didn't we?
Okay. And I know 13 there.
Yep. They're so flat, they don't want to be picked up. Forget it. $13. And that is a statewide race. That is the referred law 21.
So that's just on 5-4?
Yes. We'll do it each way. Yeah. 13.
Referred law 21, yeah.
Yes, referred law 21.
I caught
Sorry.
what she was saying. It's like, there's
I'm-
not a
I'm
referred
awake.
law 13.
I'm looking at 13. This is it. Okay. And we'll do second contest in 5-4 will be number 3, which is the Public Utilities Commissioner. So then for precinct NU, I threw them all back in.
You did.
Yeah. One. For the presidential race, sorry, I should say it, not just the number.
Presidential?
Yep.
Constitutional Amendment H.
What number did you draw on that one?
10. And so for precinct JS, statewide race will be
Number 12.
number 12, which is Constitutional Amendment E. Oops, wait just one second, I got my ballot backwards and I didn't number this one. Initiated Measure 21. I threw it back in there, I shouldn't have done that. Number 6 will be the Supreme Court Justice Retention race.
So for clarification, can we run these in order? Does somebody have them written down?
I do, and if I get them correct, Cindy can correct me, or if she wants.
Casey's got them right here. Would you like
Okay.
me to read them?
Yeah,
Okay. So our precinct 5-4, we're going to do the referred law 21 and Public Utilities Commissioner. Precinct NU, do the presidential and Constitutional Amendment H. Precinct JS, do initiated Measure 21 and the Supreme Court Justice Retention.
okay.
I have not scheduled the post-election audit yet. We will be starting to form our teams. We'll have teams of 5. One is kind of a go-between, 2 to read and make sure they agree on what was selected on the ballot, and then we'll have 2 tally sheets to make sure those come up with the same thing.
Is there any questions for Cindy?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Lester?
So we're doing 2 different races that are going to have the referred law 21. It's the count one? Is that what I understand?
No,
No.
You got initiated measure 21.
yeah,
and referred.
initiated
Oh.
measure.
So referred law 21 and then initiated 21? Is that?
Yes.
Okay, so,
Yep.
okay.
Initiated measures, you have 20.
Oh, what did I read?
Yeah, that's the reason why I'm asking. What was your number 12?
29,
Okay.
29, not 21, yes.
'Cause
Or
you gave-
initiated measure?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
RJS initiated measure 20.
Okay.
That's where I was confused. I was like, wait a minute, you said 21, so I was like,
I
eh.
did. Can't read this morning.
So Cindy, could you explain a little bit, since, you know, this is recorded about the process of the precinct contest and the audit?
The post-election
Yes,
audit?
please.
The post-election audit is to verify that the machines properly counted the ballots, the votes on the ballots. And so what will happen that day is we will have, like I said, people reading results, people hand tallying, so it's a manual count to ensure that the machines are doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Okay. I just wanted to have some clarification for those that'll tune in on this.
Yeah.
So,
Is
Mr.
that date
Mr.
set by law? As to when it
I
has to
believe
be?
it has to be done within 15 days of the state canvass.
Okay.
So sometime between
Mr.
now
Chair,
and the 15th day, we will be doing it.
Cindy, if they don't come out exact, is there some kind of a level of discrepancy?
There is a level of discrepancy in the statute, oops. Oh. Can't remember what we did have that law up here. There is a level, and I can't remember exactly what that is, that could trigger a recount. I know I had that law with us somewhere, but I don't know.
Got to be based on a percentage or something, though.
Yes. I have too many papers. Oh, there it is. Oh, and the actual statute that we pulled doesn't show what the discrepancy is either, but it's kind of, the way it reads is kind of convoluted from what I remember, but I don't have that with me. But there is a point where we would have to notify the candidates if it has that small of a margin of error. We would have to contact the candidates, and they would have the opportunity to request a recount.
we got some documents I got going down the dais to approve the canvassing.
Rod, did you sign Gary's?
Okay. We got one
My
that
mistake.
needs to be done over again.
Oh. Okay.
Are both of them? Nope, just that one. Unless you could. Yeah, it's got this.
Didn't print a second one of those. I'll run upstairs and see if I can find another one. But unless there's something else that you need from me, or do you want to go see if Dana's up there? She said she was
Yeah,
good.
this one, there's that.
Yeah,
one.
there- then there's also-
This was missing.
This is just the form I use for our selection, so if you would sign that one too,
Okay.
Mr. Chair. Thank you.
there anything else, Cindy?
I believe we've got the canvas approved, we've got our post-election audit selected.
And so we'll just wait for the next paper to come down to get
We
canvassing?
get the rest, yeah, please don't anybody leave yet.
Okay.
Till Dana reprints that one form, and then we'll get that signed.
So next, that would bring us up to items from the public per SDCL 125-1, speaker request form required. At this time, I have no further speaker request forms. I got yours earlier, and you're good? Okay. Is there anything else for the good of the board? Seeing none, I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Drew, seconded by,
Wait for the paper or no?
No, we just need to make sure no one leaves, so everyone gets it signed.
Okay.
Yeah. So don't leave. So all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries.